Good evening and welcome to the online betting masterclass presented by Gray Samuels, which is the number one UK horse betting expert. Thank you very much for coming this evening. My name is Adrian Niculescu. I'm an online marketer and entrepreneur, and I've teamed up with Gray to to help him spread the kind of knowledge which is provided through the website graysamuels.com. The idea being that besides the betting knowledge, which is second to none in this case, to add also information related to how to develop mindset, how to meditate, how to handle the emotions, which are essential things when you want to build wealth. Because um, when you want to become a millionaire, for example, you have a vision, and after that you need to find and to master one vehicle or more than one vehicles to get there, and betting is one of those vehicles. And I've learned from the personal development trainings and coachings I've attended that 80% of the success is mindset and 20% is what we call mechanics. So I want to invite Grade to say hi and to start this online betting masterclass. I will kindly ask if you have any questions to put them in the chat box and we will answer during the webinar. Or if by chance we don't have time to answer to them, we'll send you the answers by email and have an enjoying and pleasant hour with us. Gray, the mic is with you.
Thank you very much, Adrian. I think that it's probably good to start at the beginning. What is my story in regard to betting and why are we here now? Now, the beginning is actually a very interesting word because as time goes on, I think that we'll possibly be going back to some Chinese style philosophy, and Confucius used to say to begin is 50% of the work. So just to start something means that you are already halfway there. So everybody that is online this evening, congratulations. We're halfway to wherever we need to be. My story was, and it goes back to a very different time in betting. It was a time before the exchanges, BetDAC, betting, Betfair, bookmakers. That's where I started, was to go into bookmakers. Now, why was I looking at that? The answer is that, like most people, I was working hard, being busy at a day job, but finding that the results I was getting and what I was doing wasn't really fitting in to the lifestyle that I wanted for myself. So the question then was, what do I enjoy? What gives me the enthusiasm? I was quite successful as a salesperson, I have to tell you. We don't want to go too much there, but I recognised awards as a salesperson and managing teams of people. Now, there's a lot of nonsense talking about sales. I can assure you that sales is about relationships. It is about win-win. It is about providing a service that is good for the person that receives the service. It's a two-way thing. I had the rewards of a company car, a good job. I had to wear a suit and a tie every day, which I sometimes miss now because I don't have to do that too much. I do miss that. Anyway, I literally did have a guy that was quite successful in betting. And we're going back here to probably, let me see now, 1996, 1997. And he used to have a few bets every day. And he talked about it. And I kind of liked his, even though I'm not sure how much money he won. You know, some days he had a good day, some day he didn't. But I liked his style, and he was very erudite, and he was humorous, and he seemed to be cheerful a lot of the time. You know, most of the people that I was working with, who, you know, they could have been higher up the management chain than me, they weren't happy most of the time. So I decided now I've got to generate a new enthusiasm. I looked, and really from this chap, who I used to know, that made me look into this realm. I started to study form, buy a few books. A very early inspiration for me was Shea Vanderbilt, who was known as the Flying Dutchman. I bought books by Moss Publications. Got a few authors in there, and it was really the sum total of UK betting knowledge since before the Second World War. And it's surprising how much is actually out there. That formed my early days, particularly Shea Vanderbilt. We'll be coming back to him actually in these classes in a big way, because I actually bought Moss Publications and all of the books that he wrote. We'll be coming back to that again. I started to look into it. Was it possible? So, studying form, writing down bets, paper trading first, okay? Going into bookmakers. Don't forget we're at the end of the 90s here. This is before the betting exchanges, okay? People walked into William Hill's. And I was amazed to see, because this is before I actually gave up the day job. I literally used to go in at lunchtime, like most other people. There'd be people in there that had clearly been in for most of the morning. You could still smoke in a betting shop then. You can't try smoking in a shop now. You can still smoke, and be people taking their cigarette out of their mouth, screwing that betting slip up, throwing it on the floor, saying this or that. And I mean, you couldn't get away with that behaviour now. Anyway, that was educational. By the way, William Hill's very good service. I went in there. Don't really use them that much these days, but a very good service. That informed me as to who else was in this realm of betting, as we say. And don't forget, you could bet on Donald Trump to win the US presidential election. Now you can walk in. Very good odds. Let me tell you, that's a winner. 40-1. That is value. Get on now. And remember, Ray and Adrian told you first. You could bet on a horse, which is obviously the mainstay. Now you can bet on football. I don't even think you could bet on football to the degree that you can now. If you asked them, you could probably bet on a snail race that you wanted to set up outside the shop. They give you odds on anything. So that informed me, the type of people that were there. Then I started to notice trends from investing in the Racing Post, using the statistics that were available. And I call it investing because it wasn't a purchase, buying the Racing Post. It was an investment. The knowledge that I gained from what is essentially, I think it was £1.90 then, you know, maybe a bit less, it's £2.30 now, was priceless, to be honest with you. And that connected with the information I was accessing from other sources has really paid dividends. And by the way, just I won't lose my thread here, hopefully, but just to say that if you make a decision and visualize what you want to achieve in your life, and we're going to come back to this a lot. Adrian's very, very big on this, and this is one of the things that inspired me about Adrian and made me want to work with Adrian. He knew that the key to success, the key to personal power and becoming an enabling personality, someone who can manifest what they want to see in their lives, is by looking around you, taking on board all sorts of information and keying that knowledge in to what you have decided yourself. Now, what happened was I started to then get a little bit more organized. And that's a word that I found frightened some people. I started writing down results, trends, etc. And and it was years. I think the early couple of years was really R&D, they call it, not rock and roll. R&D, research and development. I noticed trends, and if I'm honest, in the first couple of years, I did lose money. I did. I mean, most people do, because that's the way odds are arranged. However, I wrote the trends down and where the key knowledge came from. And don't forget, I mean, essentially what I put together, if nothing else, it is a record of where the key knowledge is. And I've got it on the site. Some other people have got key knowledge too, that's true, but I've got it. So that was the result of the 2 years research and development that I underwent. It got to the stage where I could seriously think of giving up the day job, which brings us back to the origins of this conversation here. And then I had to learn about staking, growing the bank, and of course, look, I mean, the other day, I had a walk around Epping Forest. I was visiting a friend in North London. It's huge. It's full of trees. It's got a huge oak section. Now, I can assure you that all started from one seed somewhere along the line at the beginning. And remember, Confucius told you to begin is 50% of the work. So just by planting a seed, you're 50% of the way there. So my early seeds were planted, started off by, when I left the day job, I had a little pot of money. I could survive, but look, life gets more and more expensive, more complicated almost every day. And don't forget, Adrian and I are here to make life less complicated, more simplified, more powerful for you. But life is like that if you let it go on around you. Then I found that over time I could start to sustain an income. Didn't quite match up to the income that I'd given up. But of course I had a great bonus and a great payoff from giving up the day job. Now, what was that bonus and payoff? Let me tell you, it was time. It was time to focus on what it was that I wanted to do. What was important to me, how I wanted to serve others, interests of mine. That motivated the setting up of, my service, which I've been known for in the betting realm. That area motivated me a lot. And in the early days, I remember that people used to say, well, if you had the secret, why would you tell anyone else? And people used to say that to me as though it was some all-catching gambit, And I used to say, well, if you had a secret, why wouldn't you want to pass it on? Are you that selfish? Well, it's obvious, isn't it? So hence, and plus, when you talk about something that you do, now this is important to anyone that really wants to make a shift in their lives, important to anyone who really wants to move from one place into another place. And don't forget, Adrian and I are going to really try hard to give you the help you need to make that shift. Please just think of this once. If you want to make a shift in an area of your life, you have to decide what it is, essentially. So my story in setting that up was finding the knowledge, sharing it and talking about it, because when you share things, you invite feedback. Now, a great man that I respect, Brian Tracy, who helped me a lot, and in fact he made me a very successful salesperson. This guy's a US guy. He said, feedback is the breakfast of champions. And I think you find that Anthony Robbins used it, but a fair bit after Brian Tracy used it. So that's why I started to share the knowledge, and it was something to do. I didn't want to sit in like, you remember my friend in the pub that inspired me? I didn't want to sit in a pub all day, even though it's very pleasant. I'm sure most of us wouldn't mind a bit of it from time to time. So I shared the knowledge. That took the feedback. That enabled me to gather all the knowledge into one place. And that enabled that then to be offered to people who want to find the knowledge, who want to learn, but who want to avoid making the mistakes and pitfalls. Now, Adrian, I know I've been talking on for a bit here, but I've got perhaps 1 or 2 minutes more to talk about. Is it okay to continue just on this area?
Yeah, we'll expect feedback from the attendants. Yes, I wanted also to add something.
Yeah. What 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 I then found was this is how it works. Okay, that if you want to change your life and move from one place to another, you have to decide what change you want to make. That means you have to size up your life. You know, assess where you are, where you want to go. It could be visualization. At that point, you need to intend to do something and for that to happen. And all this stuff, you know, has been in The Secret and all of that, you know, all of these new agey type things about manifesting stuff. Let me tell you, the origins of that knowledge goes back a long, long way. It's open for anybody. So you decide, you then intend, okay? And that's where optimizing personal power comes in. Meditation, yoga, Tai Chi, you know, modes of increasing your personal energy. Then you have to act. You have to. Because if you don't act, someone is going to act for you or even worse, on you. You have to act. That's about goal setting. Now, those three areas, how to decide, how to intend, and how to act, are going to be areas that are included in various superb free content that Adrian's got lined up for you, and also some products where there will be a cost involved. And we'll be talking about that as time goes on. Adrian, over to you. I think I've spoken enough now. Let's get some balance into it. Is there any feedback from anyone listening?
Not quite. I've asked the attendants. Maybe um, due to the fact that you are on Skype, maybe put the volume down, or if you have some headphones, because there is a delay between the sounds between us. What I wanted to add is the fact that in the email sent announcing this webinar, there is also a masterclass which takes 90 minutes about creative visualization. Is presented by Lisa Nichols from The Secret. And guys, if you have some time over the weekend or in the next days, please take aside 90 minutes and attend that session. It will help a lot in clarifying things regarding your goals. And I wanted to also to add something to what Gray says. It took me 6 to 7 years to find the answer to this question. When he was asked by some other people why, if he has the secret, meaning, I don't know, the correct strategies on doing something and achieving a certain level of success, why sharing it with other people? And there are two principles here. One of them, if you have a powerful information, a life changing information, and if you share it with other people, helping them to change their lives, automatically that content becomes more powerful for you. And there is another thing which I strongly suggest to the listeners to be conscious about it and to avoid it. Um, as said, it took me 7 years to hear this information, and at that moment, I found out that, and so many times I was in that place. And this is the information. So many people, when they buy a book or they buy a course, which is life changing or business changing, they are satisfied by seeing that book or that course on the shelf, and some of them don't even open it, or if they open or they start to read the book, they drop it after the first chapter. And also the statistics from the personal development industry says that if you are, let's say, in a room with 100 people, a room which can be online or offline, and if you transmit 100% of the strategy of doing something from A to Z, I said 100%, you don't hold anything back, what will happen? Let's say most of the people from the audience will be thrilled. So this is very important now to receive this information and to act upon it, and not to be like that, or to be in the small percentage
Yes.
I will talk about. 80% of the persons from the audience will not do anything with that information, will not take any action at all. 80%. 5 to 10% will do something and will stop at the first block, at the first blockage, because when you want to change your life, your business, your status, you will have resistance. So 5 to 10% will drop everything at the first blockage. Another around 5% will do something and will achieve below average results, and only around 2% will do what is necessary to go from A to Z and will achieve huge success. So please be in those small percentage.
Yes, I agree. By the way, can you hear? Is this better now? Because I've got a headphone
Yes, yes,
set
yes,
on.
yes, it's better. The delay disappeared.
Look, I'm really pleased to hear that. I'm so sorry that we had that problem. And there's me talking on and on. Anyway, I've got a couple of points to make that's linked into the points you're making here, but I'll let you complete what you're saying, Adrian.
So what I wanted to ask again, what I wanted to ask Gray is important to our audience, maybe to share some trends, some current trends in the industry, because everything become more and more digital. GraySamuels.com is an online platform basically, and we are at the middle of 2015, and I would like to ask you if you see some business changing trends in this industry for the next half of the year or for 2016. Things to look about.
Yes, I think that's a very good question, Adrian. Thank you. Just before I get to that, and I'm going to come on to trends, there was a point that I wanted to complete, didn't quite, but it's what stops people from being successful in betting. Now, we can know all the trends that we want, unless we address that issue. That's then how we interact with the trends or anticipate them is going to be less important. A lot of the products and free content that's going to be, a feature of these webinars will be focused on what stops people from being successful. And I found it's always the same thing, that people are not feeling harmonized, happy, and so powerful in their own lives. So that's why we've made a conscious choice to move away from not just talking about betting, because lots of people go over there and they can have a bet, do this, but the point of betting is much more fun if you're winning and you're making money, okay? And why are some people winning? Why are some people not? Because you get luck. Luck comes in two forms, good, bad. Best to bypass luck. What we're talking about here is accessing the knowledge. GraySamuels.com is one. Adrian and I have been talking about a number of different areas. That's where you can bypass luck and start to gain the knowledge. However, when you gain the knowledge, you will still need to have the right mindset in yourself to actually work with that knowledge, get the results that the successful people are getting. That's why we're branching out a little bit here and just talking about optimizing personal power, growth, being able to manifest a different vision for your life, and being able to make a change, being able to shift circumstances and events, whatever they are, and there are loads and loads of them. Everybody's a little bit different. Everyone's unique. And I would say everyone's beautiful, essentially. That's what we're here for, to help you to make that shift alongside the hard knowledge that you need. Okay, and we're going to be opening up on that on every webinar. I think Adrian's got a schedule of events planned, and each one will get better. So I really do hope people stick with it, think through the answers, have a little bit of faith and a little bit of trust, give us some feedback, and we can start really launching it up and really delivering that value. Trends. The biggest trend, as I said, was the move away from conventional high street bookmakers into the exchanges now. And I think, obviously, there's another trend, which is the sheer volume of things that you can bet on. I mean, honestly, I think if you walked into a bookmaker or rang up Sporting Bet or any of that plethora of online bookmakers now, I mean, odds checker, you look on there, you can actually see at a glance who's got the best odds on anything. Actually, I think you could convince them, look, I'm going to set up a snail race outside, okay? Now, I want some odds. One snail's in red, the other's in green, the other's in blue. And they'll probably give you some odds. That's the point of it. So the trend now is that you can bet on virtually anything. Now, that's a great trend, right? Of course it is. Choice is good. It's not so good if you keep making the wrong choice, of course, because then you might end up losing money. So the sheer volume and variety of things that you can bet on, that's a good thing. That's a new trend. By the way, I'll just say it again, Donald Trump, I think, to win US presidency, 40-1. You heard it here first. Value, get on now. It's got to be worth a five of that.
Are you betting on Trump?
Am I betting on?
Are you betting on Donald Trump?
Trump, yes, I am actually. Yes, I've got not a big wager. Well, you don't need to at 40-1, but I've got a smallish, medium-sized wager on Donald Trump to be the next United States president. That's correct. Very impressed by him.
Yeah.
I don't want to offend anyone that's into politics there. This is purely based on how I'm reading the situation over there.
By the way, we have a request from one of the listeners, Ken Sion. Prefer more insight for betting and how to make money. And anyway, analyzing the trends is an amazing way to make money in new ways because there are new trends.
Yeah, I mean, look, that's a good, prefer more insight and betting. Now, I would say it's a great question. I totally get that. And look, I'm going to zone in on that for 2 minutes straight. But do not forget to zone in and make money. It's just not that easy. You've got to have the right mindset. And that's why we're talking a little bit around, betting per se. Because that's just about placing a bet on an event to come in your favour, isn't it? That's all it is. So that's what we're doing. But some of the trends are, one of the things that it's easier to do now with betting exchanges is hedging is the traditional term, or that means that you can, and really I have to say that GraceHammers.com, and Adrian knows this, we probably led the way in doing this. They used to call it Dutching, but I call it group betting now. That is that you can place a wager. This is the key trend. There are lots of trends. You want to know the key trend? This is the key trend. Group betting. You can place a wager on an outcome and include a number of possible outcomes to return a profit. So we move away from the old style, which is, I know, Tim Henman's going to win Wimbledon. Well, you had a good run for your money, 15 years, and he nearly got there, but he didn't quite win. However, over those 15 years, you could have bet on Tim Henman to win Wimbledon, including Greg Rusedski, and probably put the eventual winner of those Wimbledons over those 15 years into a group bet. 3 of them, 3 people, 3 chances, maybe more. I don't know, because I'd have to look at the odds. And won, whichever of them won. So that's a trend that, I like to think that really I've led the way in pushing forward and developing and refining. That takes knowledge, that takes wider insight, that takes personal enthusiasm, sharpness, okay, to be looking at what's happening around you and the markets. That's the type of incisive knowledge, working with trends, using betting, but understanding that success in betting comes from manifesting good, harmonious, inner, personal, feel-good power. These are the type of things that Adrian and I are trying to bring into focus. I hope that's helpful, Adrian.
Yes, of course. And if you would like to highlight the new tactics, the most cutting edge tactics and strategies to use today.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I'm going to do that right now. That's a great question, you know. And you know what? I mean, we use it on growsandwich.com a lot. And if I'm fair, you know, there are people working alongside me that have shown that they're absolutely brilliant, that have run with it. And, you know, I wouldn't like to go into competition with them. They could probably outstrip me. However, this is what it is. It's the power, and Einstein said it first, it's the power of compound growth. I call it compound growth profit strategy, CGPS. Now basically compound profit, if you're not earning it, someone else is earning it. That's how it works. Now what does that mean though? How is that connected to day-to-day betting? Well, let me give you a startling fact. If you started off with £100 and you grew that £100 by 1% a day, that is on day 2, you started in the morning with £101. By the end of day 690, you would have nearly £1 million. It's amazing, isn't it? Now, what that does is it concentrates the mind. That's a great game, narrowing the field of vision. However, with every game, there can be a debit. And we don't use the word loss on gracesandwich.com. It's always a debit. There can be a debit. And the debit is that you have to have a little bit of discipline in your day-to-day campaign. Not think, you know, you're going to make thousands of pounds in one bet. You've got to build it up from the size of your bank, move from growth to income bank. The power of compounding gains over time and understanding that it's not about a lucky number, you know, lottery. It's not even 14 million to 1 anymore, is it? Do you know, I didn't even know that. I know if you're not in it, you can't win it. But they've even doubled the price of the lottery ticket. Not only they've done that, very helpfully, you've got less chances of winning the jackpot, you know, the big jackpot now. But compound growth. So what this means exactly here, £50, £100 on day 1, you make £1. Okay, 1% gain, 1% gain. Okay, but on day 400 for exactly the same performance, you'd make nearly £100 gain for exactly the same performance in percentage terms. That's a new trend. It's a trend that the bookmakers and odds people don't want you to know about. Why? Because they rely on you having a bit of a touch, then the next day it's all gone. It's given back to them because you're looking for another touch. So you've got to have the discipline. That's again why Adrian and I have come together with Adrian's expertise in mindset enhancement and the type of areas of personal interest outside of betting and work that I've had for a long time. That's why we've come together to try and really nail it, to give people a pathway, to signpost them and give them a pathway to personal advancement that can be driven by not just one, but a raft of different actions. And that can be successful betting for sure. It's going to be successful betting. Also personal power, the ability to enable and visualize what it is that you want in your life, to go out and be someone who can make it happen. And also some other stuff, you know, that's just going to make us feel good and laugh and be enthusiastic. So these are trends: group betting, making the optimum use of the type of things you can bet on, betting on multiple outcomes in order to sustain a profit. It can be small, But if compounded over time, bearing in mind the growth of the bank from daily successful activity, will actually return an extraordinary amount of money for exactly the same style of bet. I think that sums it up, Adrian. Over to you.
I think in betting, it's like in investments, or when you buy shares on trading platforms. Most of the people doing that, they don't make any money,
Correct.
or they are driven by fear or greed. So I think that in betting also the emotional side works very well. And this strategy of betting on multiple things and at the end of the day having a profit,
Correct.
which maybe is not a huge one but is like a sure one, it's based on a certain calculations,
Yes, sir.
makes this process of building wealth through betting something very few people know about.
Correct.
And I would like to detail a little bit this one. So, um, people like examples, people like success stories, or in every industry there is hype. All of us we want to make millions, just to know how to do it. Most of the time, it takes a lot of time, and I wanted to tell you from your experience which were your biggest breakthroughs and how long did they take to get you there?
Yeah, are we locating this into to betting? This question here, Adrian.
Yes, we are talking about betting here.
Yeah, I actually think there were two big breakthroughs. There's probably three. I mean, if you include the one that I've mentioned, seeing a guy that always seemed to pop into the pub and buying a round of drinks. You know why? Because he'd had some successful bets, and the fact that he was happy in his life, and yet he didn't seem to be running a day job as far as I could see. That was amazing. That was an eye opener. I didn't associate anyone being happy without running a standard day job. Of course you can be happy with running a day job. That was an eye-opener. So that opened up the possibility field. Second thing, big breakthrough was, and I've got to it, it's funny, I'll just deal with this story briefly, but when I first got into, looking at who was tipsters out there, much maligned word, there was a guy, and should I mention his name? Well, no, I probably won't, because but he used to get some stick on the web. But if I hadn't have joined his, and paid some money actually, for a seminar, if I hadn't have joined him, and he never said that this is where he got his knowledge from, but if I hadn't have joined up with him and paid that money for a seminar, I wouldn't have found out that he actually got his knowledge from Shay Vanderbilt. That was amazing. I mean, it was totally amazing. I didn't know at the time. No, I always liked him actually. That was a breakthrough because Shay Vanderbilt was old school before the internet. Before the internet, he was old school knowledge. A guy that lived through I think he was a Dutchman, lived through the Second World War, and did it the old school way. Form analysis, and his attitude is absolutely evergreen. I don't care when it was, in the Stone Age, if it was First World War, Second World War, now, 10 years from now, in 2222, I don't care when it would be evergreen. It was clear, concise, working with facts, ensuring that personal discipline, self-mastery was at the foremost of your mind. And being logical, that was a breakthrough. Seeing someone think like that and comparing it to the people I saw in Joe Coral's, taking that woodbine out of their mouth and swearing and throwing the betting slip on the floor and all the rest of it. That was a breakthrough. And I think in betting, the big breakthroughs, like most recently, have been where I put together, and I have to say this, I'm not here to sing my own praises too much, I mean, we've got to do it a little bit, but this betting, group betting, plus the fact that you can now get robots to automate the betting. This is amazing. I mean, on the site, I've got people that work with me on gracehamish.com. you could knock me into a cocked hat when it comes to that stuff. Mastering stats, robots, we've got software partners on site where you can automate your bets. So you don't even need to sit in front of the laptop all day. You can automate your bets. Do it before you go to work, come back home, and it's all done, and build it up that way. We know how to do it. It's being done every day. Okay? So that was another breakthrough for me. And I'm not a tech buff. I'm not. However, I know people who are, and you don't have to look very far because Adrian and I, we've got them. They're around, and the knowledge is there. And if you want to partake of it, it's there. So those three trends, I think, are absolutely key. And not only that, they're the most important trends. They are the trends that if you pick up on them, you're going to get the results that you want. And I recommend them to you. Thank you, Adrian. Over to you now. Is that okay?
In the masterclass, which will be next week and will be announced by email, we'll also announce a very nice project. We are preparing a live event, in-person event in London area, which will be in the last part of September, but details soon. What I would like to ask Gray to talk about, and we went over this for one week, because, and we were back and forth, starting to do things differently. I asked Gray, why don't you start a high level coaching program, because you have so much very detailed and on point information to share, and there are so many people who want to jump in and start taking action and do things in a total different way and achieve instant breakthroughs. So I persuaded for a few days Gray regarding this thing until he said yes, and he will talk a little bit about this project. Is an amazing opportunity to start betting in a totally different way, being connected with everything which is not new, is before being new in the market. It's very exclusive, very selective. So only a small group of persons will be in this type of coaching group, because everybody will receive personal attention. So please, Gray, speak about this coaching program, this high-level coaching program.
Thank you very much indeed, Adrian. Yes, I mean, one of the things, in fact, we've had 3 breakthroughs. Now I'm going to give you a 4th breakthrough, which is what Adrian's just been talking about, which is, there was one thing, in a competitive market, how do you differentiate yourself? This is a way that we're going to differentiate ourselves, because a lot of online stuff, that's great. There's nothing like the personal touch, is there? Nothing like that. Actually being able to see people, being around them, a couple of days. We've got an all-singing event planned for September, where it will be an opportunity to see live racing presentations of bets happening, the tools that we use, that is the automated betting, the assistant betting that we use, the software. It will be product documentation. It will be me actually being there, not a voice. No one will be saying, is that really Gray? I'll be there, okay? Leading it, a weekend event. Not only that, I will have, because on my site I have 2 colleagues whose excellence is unsurpassed, and I have to tell you, it's more than a blessing for me to actually be able to work alongside them. They will be there. It's not some one-man thing, There's the membership. There are 2 experts on there. They will be there. There'll be 3 people giving a presentation, live betting, all happening. Any question that you'd have, and it can be difficult online, you can't contact with people, and everybody's learning is difficult. It's different. It's different. Some it's easy, some it's difficult because we've got different personalities. On this event, not only we will be able to present the knowledge in a focused form, we will be able to present the knowledge with three people standing up with a great atmosphere, the all expenses paid food and accommodation. Details are yet to be done, probably entertainment as well. It will be absolutely groundbreaking. This is the breakthrough that is the new breakthrough, how to impart the knowledge in a way that supports learning, that supports success, that supports the manifestation of people's goals, that supports having a really good, cheery time as well, and also bolts on the missing link. Now, Adrian's talked about this, the missing link, not just the betting. How do you make the bet? That's important, of course it is. But it's also what is the mindset to make the bet? And we're going to be presenting the absolute cutting edge of that knowledge all in one weekend. And I can't wait. Thank you, Adrian. Any other questions on that?
And before that, let's present. Okay, sorry. Let's present the actually online coaching we are starting, the high level coaching program, because the live event will be announced next week. And the people who are in your coaching program, we have a special offer for that event in London in September.
Yes, indeed. I mean, so what we need to do is to maximise the learning process here and how people can take best use of the knowledge we'll be presenting them by an online coaching, which is going to be a series of webinars that's going to be looking at detailed information about how to work with the trends that we've just been talking about here. And this will be, whereas the live event is going to be it's a one-off, it happens then, and that's it. What we want to do is have the run-up. We want to have the run-up event to that. Which is going to be regular webinars. I think I'm right in saying that, isn't it, Adrian? A kind of weekly presentation.
Yes, will be weekly webinars only.
That's
with
excellent.
with
Yeah.
with the content
Yeah. So you can
totally
look.
different than the regular master classes. Totally different.
Yeah, you can look at it like this. Right? There's two. If you want to learn karate, you go down to your local dojo. Now that's fair enough. You're going to learn everything you need, but it's much better if you can read up a little bit about karate, or even if you have some previous experience in the martial arts. So this initial opportunity that we're putting together as weekly webinars is supported by emails and documentation, that sort of thing. So you get all the modes of learning in, not just listening. You get stuff to look at, and you get little exercises to do, and you can really, make sure that you embrace the knowledge most effectively. We'll be doing that every week. We'll be talking about the trends, the type of bets, what sort of bets you need to be looking at. We'll be opening up with a unique and completed product in the US horse racing market, which I have to tell you is the greatest opportunity that's been put before UK bettors for a unique reason. You can't do it if you're in America because they have a totally different way of betting. But on here, you can sit in the UK and look at stateside on ATR and bet on the exchanges. It's the most amazing opportunity. And I can tell you, I've been putting a lot of work into it. It's probably, not just me, but it's probably, that's going to be part of it as well. So we're going to be looking at that, and we're going to be driving forward to that live event. So when you turn up to that live event, you're not going to be cold. You're going to be like a boxer that's been doing some training, and that's been warming up in the dressing room. And when you get into that live event, you're going to pick up the final parts of the jigsaw. Okay? So does that help, Adrian?
Yes, of course. And as an idea regarding the online coaching, because I function this way. When I invest in a training or a coaching, I always ask what's in it for me and maybe how fast I recover my investment. So where is my return on investment? Because we are speaking about money and we are with the money on the table. So realistically, speaking about this online training, online coaching program, how fast can the member recover the investment and start building wealth in a turbocharged way,
Yeah.
much faster and much bigger than before?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I would estimate that if you follow strictly the advice that's going to be given, the recovery of the investment is going to take 1 month maximum. 1 month maximum. Now, I don't know about you, but now you have to follow the advice. Now, I don't know about you, but the last time I looked at investments, it was a 2-year deal, contract thrown in, with 9% growth, possibly. 1 month. After that, you'd be using the power of compound growth that I'd mentioned. So I would say that, and we have to move from from a growth, sorry, to an income bank. You would recover your investment in 1 month. You cover your investment on your betting capital in 1 month. You would actually be in a position to recover your investment in the product, I would say, in 2 or 3 months.
So fast?
Yes, you would. I mean, it would depend. I tell you what, it would depend on how much you started with. Now, I've just written down in front of me because I'm thinking of darts for some reason. I don't know why. Bullseye, 50, which is that £50. But of course, if you start with £100 betting bank, depends what you start with. Now, if I said 1 month, you recover your investment, and I mean betting capital is £50. Okay, at the end of that month, you would have made that £50 back in profit. So you've recovered your investment. But now, hold on a sec. Imagine that investment was £200. At the end of that first month, you would have doubled that. It would be £400. Okay, I'd be expecting the bank to have doubled at the end of that month. Second month, £800. Third month, £1,600. Okay, give or take a little bit. Very modest targets for doing things the right way. Yes, that quickly, Adrian.
Yes, it sounds very appealing. And if it's done in such a way, because it's not like um, you are betting on things you can control. This is a process. And initially in 2011, when I saw your website for the first time,
Yes.
I was in that mindset that betting is only like gambling, so it's only based on chance. There are
Yes.
not processes, there are not strategies. You can't build wealth, and you showed me that things can be totally different.
Yes. Thank you.
But it was in that mindset that most of the people are, and fortunately, we are in that small percentage of people that can do things differently, can think about different strategies, and really build wealth.
Make no mistake, this is an exclusive club.
Yeah, yeah, because you know that statistic that 2% of the people control 98% of the money, assets, and businesses on earth.
Yes, indeed.
2%, and this is a statistic people can find on Google. It's not something invented or for the sake of saying. It's a reality of our life.
Yes.
So I think that all of us here in this webinar room, we are, or we want to be, or we want to remain in the 2%. Am I right?
You are right, and I tell you what, there's something we do, and please don't forget your thread there while I butt in, Adrian, so I know we're getting close to the end.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I set myself a profit target that basically, what do I need, to survive, and then what do I need if I really want to get ahead. This is in the early days, and £150, budgeted everything a day coming in. The coaching that you're talking about in the run-up to the live event, that will show you how to do it. It won't happen on day one, but it will show you how to take the steps to get to that, without a doubt. So please go ahead. Sorry for butting in.
Okay, perfect. We are close to the end now. This was our first webinar from the series of online masterclasses.
Yeah, thank you.
What will happen in the next period? We will send you by email, and also we'll use social media and the membership of graysamuels.com to share as much value as much great information helping you to build wealth through betting, because this is the idea. It's not only about betting. Of course, it's not about gambling, because for me, betting was like gambling. It's about building wealth through betting, using betting as a vehicle. And we will do the best together to give you all the resources you want to develop a healthy mindset, to build wealth in your mind first, and after that to use betting as a vehicle to build wealth in the real world. Thank you for the ones who enrolled today in the coaching program. Also, at the beginning, we will have a one-to-one discovery session to help you build your vision and your strategy with what you want to achieve through betting, because it's not necessarily about money. All of us have goals. We want to buy a new house, or a better car, or maybe 10 houses or 10 cars, or a yacht or something. And there are certain steps we need to take. Also, the ideas and the strategies, they need some time to be nurtured, but it's only a matter of time and of dedication until we will get there, and we'll do those together. Thank you very much, Gray, for coming, and look for the emails from us. And thank you again for the ones who enrolled today in the coaching. You will hear from us very fast, and we'll establish the strategy session, and we'll start working on one-to-one basis and on group coaching calls. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for being here today, and let's make it happen. I'll see you soon.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.